All the characters in the story are over 18 years old. Life in a distant colony of humanity on the opposite Earth from the center of the galaxy to the star system was harsh and required special treatment for the sake of survival. In the city where Melissa lived, the existence of the Earth was considered as much a myth as unicorns, dragons, and aliens. Only the history teacher seemed to believe in her reality. Discipline was the #1 most important rule in the city. Melissa had no intention of breaking the daily routine. Her father's strictest rule to be home no later than 8 o'clock in the evening. On Wednesday, Dad and Mom came home very late when their children went to bed. Melissa and her brother Travis were supposed to spend the evening at home alone. But this Wednesday, her boyfriend Marcus celebrated his birthday and received a car as a gift from his parents. Melissa didn't know anything about cars, even though she had learned to drive properly. Marcus's car was red and shiny, and he let her drive. Melissa was taught to drive by her father, but only on a distant deserted road outside the city. Marcus allowed Melissa to drive through the center, where everyone could see her. "You are the best," Marcus said. "I love you. I will love you forever. There is no one better than you." Melissa forgot all her troubles in a moment. "He loves her. I want to love you even more. I want to belong entirely to you," he said. They've already talked about it. Marcus wanted more. "I see," Marcus said. "If I were dating some Sarah, she would let me love her more." Sarah was rumored to have made love to every guy she had a relationship with. The end of the evening passed in sullen silence. Marcus drove her home and didn't kiss her goodbye. It was late. There were no parents yet. My brother was already asleep in his room. Melissa brushed her teeth and went to bed. I couldn't sleep. She was thinking about Marcus, Sarah, and didn't know what to do. In the end, all I could think about was Marcus. She was woken up by an alarm clock and hurried to take the bathroom first. I took a shower, brushed my teeth, and began to look in a large mirror. Hey, well, it's still a long time. I really need to go to the toilet. My brother began to knock vigorously on the door outside. The romantic mood was irrevocably lost. Melissa hid her toothbrush and wrapped herself in a bath towel. She went out, clearing the room. My father was reading something on a tablet and drinking coffee. His mother was making an omelet for Travis. Melissa sat down to eat pancakes and drink milk. "What is it? What is it?" she asked her father, pointing to the envelope lying in her place. "Read it," my father said. The letters were always sent by email, but something important required etiquette to be printed out and handed over personally. "Dear Principal Gardner, we ask that Melissa be excused from attending college next Friday and Saturday. She violated discipline and will be punished with 2 days in shackles near our house. Please notify all the teachers so that they give her homework. Melissa will be at college no later than next Monday. Sincerely, Mr. and Mrs. Donnelly." The letter fell from Melissa's numb hands onto the table. What I read was simply impossible. She went cold. My insides twisted. My hands were sweating. She couldn't say a word for a long time. "But she managed. "But you did it," my father said. "And don't look at your brother like that. He didn't say anything. To be honest, you really let us down. Your mother and I have always been so proud of you." "But again, she could only whisper 2 words. "When you started dating guys, we had an agreement. You agreed to be punished if you violated it. I'm sorry, Dad and Mom. It's my fault. I'll always be home by 8 now. Yesterday was an accident. I didn't deserve this. You know that you have violated discipline and that you must learn responsibility. Better sooner than when it's too late. I am a man, and I am responsible for my words. It's better for the family and for society. You must become a woman of your word and learn responsibility at all costs." Melissa looked at the sad faces of her mother, father, and brother. Travis usually rejoiced at her failures, but now he was sad, empathizing. Thursday at college was terrible. There was no concept of a school on their planet. Children started going to school as early as they could and studied until such an age, until they acquired the maximum possible professional skills according to their abilities. For short, everyone called the educational institution the word college. The principal locked the original letter in a safe and instructed her to hand copies to each teacher. By evening, everyone knew about the event. The other students stopped talking to her. Only her friends sat down to lunch next to her. Melissa was sincerely grateful to her friend for trying to comfort her. Shackles on the pillory have been a tradition of the city since its founding. Those guilty of violating discipline were chained in them for a while. Some families had shackles in a closed courtyard, where outsiders were not allowed. But most respected the traditions of their ancestors and erected a pillory on the street in front of the house. Violation of discipline was considered a serious crime. The prisoner was considered an outcast from society by an outsider who had no rights. No laws applied to the stranger. Everyone could come up and do whatever they wanted. A friend spent a day in shackles 2 years ago and got pregnant. To her misfortune, workers arrived near the house to arrange an alley of trees. It is not known who the father of the child was. But 9 months later, a friend gave birth to a strong baby with brown eyes and black hair, completely unlike all the red-haired white men in her family. Trying to calm Melissa down, her friend said that everything was not as scary as it seemed. This should be experienced as an unpleasant procedure. I didn't want to leave college and go home. She was left alone in the classroom, where she was taking a course in higher mathematics. Are you worried about tomorrow? What is it? Asked the teacher who came up. Melissa thought she was alone and allowed herself to cry. I didn't have the strength to answer. Marcus would leave her after that. She will never have a happy family of her own. It's okay to worry, Mrs. Olivia said. Let me give you some advice. Imagine that everything is not happening to you, Melissa Donnelly, but to an outsider. Imagine that you don't care what he feels or what happens to him. You will not be in the eyes of your family and society. There will be a stranger. Remember that. You're not the first girl to be punished. They got over it, and you will get over it. I know what I'm talking about. There is an empty pillory in the college yard now. Many years ago, it didn't always stand empty like it does now. Melissa thought that Mrs. Olivia could tell a lot about herself, and perhaps about how Melissa's parents went to college. Her mother was waiting for her to return. She brought milk and her favorite chocolate chip cookies to Melissa's room. Did you bring all your homework? It's better to start earlier. There may not be enough time on Sunday. What is it? Melissa asked her, pointing at the pills. 2 red ones are laxatives. Better take them now. They need time to take effect. You have to stand on the street in front of the house for 48 hours. If there is something inside, you will get very dirty. White is a sleeping pill. You need to get a good night's sleep now. You probably won't be able to sleep until Sunday, when the guests stop coming. Guests? What are you saying, Mom? Melissa screamed. No, my dear. Tomorrow there will be a stranger standing in front of our house. Melissa sat shocked as her mother left the room. Oh, and don't forget to put your dirty clothes in the basket. We have laundry tomorrow. Her favorite chocolate chip cookies tasted like ashes. She took a laxative and washed it down with milk. Homework allowed me to distract myself from disturbing thoughts. She missed dinner. I didn't feel like eating at all. 2 hours later, she locked herself in the bathroom for a long time, sitting on the toilet. She had never pooped so much and for so long. When she returned to her room, her father was waiting for her. My princess has descended from the throne, he commented. She didn't say anything and didn't smile at the joke. We need to have a serious talk, my father said. I know you feel bad. You don't want tomorrow to come. It's very important that you understand the reasons. We had an agreement, a contract. It is important for an adult to understand what it is, to be responsible, to learn that actions have consequences. We want you to become a serious adult woman, respected in society. I can only hope that you understand me. I will lose my daughter tomorrow and hope to find her again on Sunday. As he left the room, he added, Go to bed. The sooner it starts, the sooner it will end. The sleeping pills worked flawlessly. The alarm clock woke Melissa up at 5 a.m. She got up mechanically. Habit and discipline helped. Dressed in pajamas, she went into the kitchen, where her parents were drinking coffee and having a conversation. Take a shower, dear, said the mother. I'll make you scrambled eggs. Without getting out of her stupor, Melissa trudged into the bathroom to do all the morning chores there. She returned half an hour later, wrapped in a bath towel. She sat down at the table. I swallowed the food without feeling the taste. It's time, said the father. Young lady, stand up. Melissa stood up silently. She couldn't speak and stared at the floor. For the next 48 hours, you, Melissa Grace Donnelly, are not our daughter. You are a stranger found guilty against your family and society. You are being sentenced to public punishment." Melissa looked up and met the cold gaze of an indomitable, strong-willed man. She unwound the towel and stepped out of her rubber flip-flops. Melissa thought that she hadn't stood in front of her father since she was able to swim in the bathroom on her own. Her father began to give commands, and she obeyed weakly. "Put your hands above your head. Arch your back forward. Turn around. Bend over and touch your toes without bending your knees." He walked around her, examining her from all sides. "Sit down and stand up." Melissa easily did the usual sports workout. "I do not see any injuries or other physical defects in the stranger that prevent him from being put in shackles." He put his hand on her shoulder and led her out into the street in front of the house to the pillory. The green grass of the lawn tickled his bare feet. "The dew was cold on my feet." Her father led her to the pillory with shackles. They were made entirely of iron. Soft leather pads protected the neck and arms at the attachment points. "Stand up, or you will be put down." She bent down and put her hands and head in the appropriate recesses. The father lowered the top bar and closed the shackles with a large lock, putting it in his pocket. The pillory was so high that it was impossible to sit. You could only bend over, holding on with your hands. It was quite convenient. He wrote on a blackboard with chalk and showed her, "Violation of discipline. Do not hit with hard objects." He attached the sign to a pole, stuck it in the grass, and left in silence. There was no one on the street. The sun had barely risen. It was a little cold. Melissa was trying to sort out her feelings: fear, resentment of betrayal, shame. What bothered her most was the feeling of her father's warm hand on her shoulder as he led her to the pillory for public punishment. The front door opened, and for a second Melissa hoped that her father and mother were just showing their seriousness and were about to release her. But it was Travis who came out, sleepy and dressed in pajamas. He blinked in the sun and walked over to her, looking at her. Melissa realized that her brother had never seen not only her, but also any other girl. He slowly approached her from the front, where her face was. "I was told there is a stranger in front of the house. I have to go out and take a look and do what I think is right." "What?" "No. You know who I am. Your own sister. Every morning, my sister uses the bathroom at this time. And now, you know what? I don't need a bathroom this morning." After that, her brother made love to her. When he stopped, she shook herself off as best she could and promised gloomily, "When I'm free, I'll just strangle you, you bastard." "Shut up, stranger. You don't dare talk to me like that right now." Travis walked around the pole and went home. The family had breakfast. My father went to work. His mother gave Travis a bag of food for college lunch. He went outside, preparing to leave. I opened the package to look inside. Carrot sticks again. "I hate carrots," Travis said. "Stranger, I have an idea. Will you help me with the carrots so that they don't go to waste?" "No," Melissa replied angrily. "You eat it yourself." "I didn't say anything about eating it," he smiled. Melissa loved to eat sweet carrot sticks. They were about the length and thickness of a middle finger. My mother packed exactly 12 pieces and sprinkled a little water to keep the carrots fresh and crispy. "One," Travis said. "I wonder how much you'll fit in." It seemed to Melissa that the wand had a huge size. "Bastard, stop it immediately or you'll regret it later. I promise you." She tried to kick him, but realized that she could either break her neck or suffocate if she didn't stand steady. "Two," he announced. He felt embarrassed, but decided not to stop. 3. Melissa could feel the cold moving inside her. 4. 5. 6. Half the job is done. 7. 8. 9. 10. 11. 12. The mission ended with complete success, my brother announced. After that, he made love to her again. Melissa couldn't take it anymore. The girl's body shook. "You know what, brother? When I get out, your teeth won't be in a very good mood." After these words, he left, and Melissa remained in her old place. End.